Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Let's get started on today's episode. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for coming around. Sorry that Monday is a little bit late today, but hey, welcome to another episode of the Sweet Lou Special. I'm Sweet Lou, and I hope you all are having a great start to the week. So let's dive right into today's episode. Okay? Now, big things. Monday, everybody. Thank you for coming around. Sorry that Monday is a little bit late today, but hey, welcome to another episode of I see what it did there. All right. Hey, so, like I said, let's get started. All right. Now, horrific events that have happened in Sri Lanka. All right. So, basically, some bad shit happened over there. Easter morning, which was going to be Saturday night for us. Easter morning for them. Sunday morning. It was reported that over 200 people were killed and more than 450 people were injured. Now, the numbers have updated. Now, roughly about 290 people have died in the events that followed the attacks in Sri Lanka, and over 500 people have been confirmed injured. The attacks happened at least 2 Christian churches, 4 hotels, and 1 suburb explosion. Now, 2 of the Christian churches, one was in the capital, Colombo, and then one was just slightly north of it, not too far away. And then the 4 hotels, and then the 1 suburb explosion that involved the deaths of 2 Sri Lanka police officers when they attempted to raid a house, and an explosion happened and killed 2 of the officers. Now, for what I've gathered, that is that some of the bombings were suicide bombers. And reportedly 13 people have been arrested in connection to the attacks that occurred. And very little as of right now, well, as of yesterday, has been given to the media as to who is involved. And, and no one has really been taking claim for the attack. Now, as of today, this morning, it was confirmed by the government there in Sri Lanka that an Islamist militant group was one responsible. They haven't put a name on it, which kind of solidified my what I was thinking was going to happen and who was probably involved. And I'll carry on to this. And so what we do know is that some of the victims were foreigners. From one source I read, that 2 of them were American. Now they're saying that about 4 of them are American now, with 2 of them that hold dual citizenships with the United States and the United Kingdom. And the Sri Lanka government has declared a curfew and has cut off all the uses of social media in their country as of Sunday morning. It is another very sad day for the world. And again, it shocks the world in silence. As this time firearms were not the hot topic of this terrorist attack. Okay? Bombs were. Obviously, right away when we heard suicide bombs, we can only assume and jump to conclusions as to who may be responsible. But again, we don't know what organization or militant group is claiming the responsibility. I think the government is trying to be as vague as they can right now so that it doesn't stir the shit pot any further and try to cause any more hate, destruction, fighting, conflict, and shit like that. Now, basically, they declared a blackout status in the country. So, no communications through social media in and out until they figure out what the hell's going on, and that the government could be the first to respond in an appropriate response and update as to what had happened. Excuse me. Yeah, terrible, sad event. Killed a lot of people. A lot of people. And there's people out there, Americans out there, that are voicing their opinion as to why this is not getting as much media attention as the attacks in New Zealand, which I don't really agree with them. I think we're getting fair amount of media play and attention to this attack. I don't think, that's where I'm disagreeing with a lot of people on that one. It's being put out. It's not. I've seen some videos out there online as to the aftermath of the attacks that had happened. Man, terrible, terrible stuff, man. Innocent lives taken inside of a place of worship, like a Catholic church this time. And whoever has set this attack up, they were well prepared and well equipped with materials that may have been hard to get their hands on, unless they were part of some extremist militant group. And that was my guess. This was written last night. And what my guesses were confirmed. I was right. It is confirmed today that the militant group is the ones responsible. Let's see if we get here. It says Islamist militants blamed for blasts that killed at least 290. 500 injured. Now, it's the National Tawheed Jamaat, a local Islamist militant group with suspected international assistance. Suspected international assistance. I get what they're trying to say is that they're trying to see if they got some international links to any kind of organizations or governments that may be responsible for this. Now, granted, the Sri Lanka has been in this century, has been part of an ongoing civil war, from my understanding, for about 10 years. Not a lot of people know that. It wasn't really publicized so much in the news, as it was something that they were handling. In the aftermath of that war, that there's still extremist militant groups that are going out there to attack the government, basically calling them separatists. Now, again, like I said, at the time I was making assumptions as to the militant group or who's may have been responsible. Again, confirmed today. Now, I'm surprised that in the past, whenever a terrorist attack occurred anywhere around the world, ISIS has been really quick to say, oh, hey, we're the ones that fucking did it. We're the ones responsible. Shit, kid breaks his fucking foot down there somewhere in Georgia or anywhere. And, ISIS was quick to take the credit for that. Anything. It was the irony. But now that we don't see that, now we see that ISIS has kind of mostly been destroyed, defeated. We won, and we will continue to win that war against ISIS. And that, so it just shows that, we're doing the job there. Like I said, whew, excuse me. Now, again, this could be perceived that it was a religious motivated attack against Christians, as it took place on Easter morning. And 2 Catholic churches were the targets of these attacks, among other buildings and stuff. Now, not only Christians were harmed, obviously other local nationals were involved and harmed, of all different backgrounds, of Muslim, Hindu, different faiths. Well, however, one thing that I was thinking about as I was writing this is that, is it a coincidence that these attacks have occurred after the events at the mosque in New Zealand and the burning of Notre Dame? I don't know. It's something to think about. It's interesting to think about. I don't believe in coincidences so much. Just in a span of 1 month or more. When was the New Zealand attacks? It wasn't... attacks have occurred against organized religion. Now, some can argue, obviously, that Notre Dame can't be considered an attack because what the French government is letting us know is that it was a reconstruction mishap of some sort, which I don't believe. I find that, in and of itself, a little too strange. That a historic building and someone that made a mistake that wouldn't step up and say, hey, this was this person's fault, or the reason was because of A, B, and C. No, that's not the case. I feel that the media is being hushed up there in France as to they don't want to let the people know really what happened there in Notre Dame. I may be wrong, but that's just my feelings. But I don't think that all this is a coincidence. Not at all. And it has many suspicions. And multiple sources that I have read had all indicated that intelligence reports were given to the Sri Lanka government that was predicting, that showed evidence that this attack was going to happen. At least 10 days prior, if I haven't said that. 10 days prior to the actual attack. And this piece of intel was ignored. Now, that is crazy. It's absolutely crazy that something as serious as a accusation of this just got brushed off as nothing. And the government now is going to be probing into it farther as to why this was just ignored and why the proper precautions were not set in place to prevent such an attack from happening. Now, I feel as the government is purposely keeping things quiet, obviously, through the blackout in communications. But I'm sure that the intelligence report probably indicated, who was at fault, or who was going to be the one plotting, who was the ones plotting this, who's responsible. I think they got a bigger picture of who is really behind the scenes of orchestrating this attack, putting it all together, and carrying it out. I'm sure that they have a very good idea on who the hell it is now, but they're going to be releasing the information little by little. I feel like it is. And I feel that there is a big possibility that Notre Dame, going back to that, was an inside attack, against Christianity. And that this was another follow-up to the strange reports that Notre Dame was a renovation accident. Now, I don't know exactly. I'm just jumping to conclusions here. So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You could bring it back up that I was full of shit, or maybe I'm right and I hit this out of the ballpark. But do you think that this attack was motivated by the mosque attacks in New Zealand? Do you think that it's a follow-up through what the possibility of what Notre Dame was? I see as a possibility. I think that there's some kind of connection. I think that some kind of militant group, or maybe that's even a possibility too, that it's just an orchestrated attack against the country from militant separatists. But why would it be happening when I think from what I've read, that Christianity is one of the minorities, or Christian people are one of the minorities in Sri Lanka? As to why would it be an orchestrated attack against them? And from my understanding, the Christians have had a lot of backlash in the recent times in Sri Lanka. And maybe, I think that there's probably motivation behind it from the mosque attacks. But again, that was a white nationalist. In comparison that these were local nationals who are of Christian faith. Whatever the reason being, I'm sure that as time goes by, we'll find out more information, more accurate, clear, detailed information from the Sri Lanka government in comparison to anything that we'll find out from the French government about anything, to be honest with you. Now, I'm not putting any other labels on other people that may be responsible for these attacks, other than that they're asshole extremists. And that's what we can all agree on. All right? I mean, we all could have assumed that it was an Islamist group because there was religious motivation, obviously, to this attack. Otherwise, 2 Christian churches on Easter Sunday wouldn't have been attacked if there wasn't a religious motivation to this attack. But from here on out, we'll just call them asshole extremists, because that's what they are. It's not to put label and try to divide the people any further between Islam and Christianity, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. Just a bunch of assholes that felt that it was okay and appropriate to kill innocent people in a place of worship, which is a bunch of shit. It's very sad to see this kind of hate and murder over religion, and it's only been continuing on for thousands of years. It is sad to see that integration and the ability and being able to live side by side with people of different faiths is not more tolerable in places around the world. This incident is just another tragedy that is meant to divide the people with hate and fear in hopes that we will continue to attack each other and discriminate others based on their faith. Because that is the core of a lot of people's values, is their religion, their faith. And when you bring in something that will contradict or divide or try to bring doubt to that, it will cause conflict, death, war, everything that goes against the values of what religion's about. And it's sad to see that. Don't let this dwell as hate in your heart. All right? Categorize this as an extremist or globalists, possibly, trying to spark more war and killings so that we could be a pawn in their schemes of hate and power. Don't be a victim to that shit. Don't let it happen. Find the ones that are responsible and condemn them for their individual actions to this murderous, evil event that happened. So as I've recently read as well, like I said, about the Civil War. So there's a possibility that political motivation may be behind the entire attack. That goes back all the way to the recent Civil War that they've had. I don't know the background of that so much. I didn't really look into it. So I really wanted to give out what really happened to Sri Lanka, my opinions on it. It's upsetting. And yeah, do I sound angry? Yeah, I am a bit. But I'm not going to go out and point fingers at my neighbors that are Muslim down the street and say it was their fault. No, I'm not going to do some crazy extremist bullshit like that. I'm going to hold the ones that actually did this crime accountable for their actions. And I'm going to judge them based on what they've done, not on who they are, where they come from, but because they're worthless pieces of shit that killed innocent people. This is really shaking the world yet again to see that there's more death, more destruction amongst ourselves and towards others. And I feel that we will continue to see these acts of violence as the world further separates itself from what is right and what is wrong. Yes, the people have a right to know the facts and the truth of what goes on around the world. However, we don't need to take those facts and try to skew it and change it and mold it into something that will fit an organization's agenda, because that's what they're going to try to do. Now, I don't think it's getting so much media attention because now this time we're not talking about banning guns like there was in New Zealand. Of course, bombs are fucking banned in Sri Lanka. You're not going to be able to create an IED or an improvised explosive device in your backyard in Sri Lanka. So what's the blame on it now? Guns were the biggest one last time in New Zealand, right? Ban those. If we ban those, no other shit will kind of happen. Well, boom, bombs. People will find a way. If they want to cause conflict and they want to spark war, they will find a way. If they want to kill, they'll find a way. Very terrible. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's just going to be another extremist group that's going to pop up on the radar here in the next year or two. We're going to see all over the news as the next group that's going to be chopping off heads and trying to instill fear into the world. I mean, it seems to be a trend. It happens. Continues to happen. More and more. I just pray that, there'll be more peace in the world. But as always, there's always going to be war and conflict. I've always felt that peace is something temporary. Anyway. Very terrible. I just want to say, as the last part to this, really, God bless. And God is really taking over and looking over the lives that were lost. And that they are now in God's good graces. And I, along with, I'm sure, many, many others, will be praying for everyone that fell victim to this attack. It's a big blow to the world. And it is a devastating blow and a big blow to the Christian faith. As we have our issues going on with division within ourselves too. Anyway. Let's hope some shit happens about this, man, because, it's getting crazy. The world's a dangerous place, man. The world is dangerous. Oh, man, where is it? Links, reviews, groups, notes, man, section, sports videos. What the heck is going on here, man? Oh, here we go. Saved. Alright. Alright, so what we're going to do next is obviously I'll end that section with asking you guys, the viewers, as to what do you think? Do you agree with what I'm saying, that there's not so much a coincidence as to these attacks going against organized religion have been happening back to back? To condemn the actions, I would believe that mostly everyone here would condemn the actions, if not everyone, obviously. But what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think that this was a motivation of politics, government? Or was it a motivation of attack against Christianity specifically? Maybe some suspicions of who do you think is more deeply involved in this attack? Was it made? Was it happened? Did it happen to strike fear into the people of the world so that some other asshole extremist group could come up and make their claim to fame with their notoriety? What do you guys think? Make some comments. Get a part of the discussion. I like to get your guys' opinion on everything. And, so that I can retouch on it and see what kind of conclusions we can come up with together. All right, now, moving on to another topic I wanted to cover. Now, this involves a situation where the CEO of JPMorgan, Jamie Dimon, was being questioned by a House committee, specifically Representative Katie Porter of California. I will show you a small portion of the video that was provided by Now This Politics, and so that you guys can get to see what I saw, obviously, and let me know what you think. All right. So, a few things about this that I kind of wanted to cover right here specifically. We'll keep that up there for everyone to view. All right. Now, I totally understand why she would be advocating for a citizen in her district that takes home a little over $29,000 a year. Let's see here. So, a few things. Okay. While living in a one-bedroom apartment, which is one thing that specifically pointed out there. Now, like I said, I'll leave this up for everyone. A bank teller. Now, let's start off. Now, $16.50 an hour, 40 hours a week. All right, so a bank teller job at $16.50 an hour. Now, it says here, after tax, they taken out $6,000 basically of taxes out of that. Now, I got that federal income tax, and then you got state income tax. Now the state of California, they like to really stick it to the people. Here, we'll move it over here to this side. No, it's got to be this side. No, maybe this side. I don't know. Can we do it right there? No, we'll do it over here. Anyway, so let's get into it. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I mean, I get the entire point of why she's saying this. And I'm assuming that the committee is grilling the CEO of a multi-trillion-dollar bank as to why they are not paying more an hour for unskilled work in areas like Irvine, California. Now, I don't know if it is the right answer to be able to force a bank that has so much in assets, that is worth so much, and really force them to pay more in salary when it comes to, like, the lowest position in their business. Now, I wouldn't think it would be right to force any business from top to bottom, in my opinion, as paying over $16.50 an hour is already above the state minimum wage in California of $12 an hour. Even by 2022, they're supposed to have a minimum wage of $15. So even now, preemptive 3 years of when the $15 is supposed to happen, they're still paying above the minimum wage. Okay? Now, my initial response to this video was to why Representative Porter is wasting her time grilling a CEO for providing jobs, but not at an acceptable living wages at the lowest position for a single mother in California. But look into, I would think, Representative, as to why in the fuck it costs an average of $1,600 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. That was on average, okay? Boom, $1,600. That's expensive, man. For a one-bedroom apartment, probably 700 somewhat square feet. And mentioning that the person in question's daughter has to sleep in the same room. How about, Representative, why don't you probe into why California is charging out the ass for housing, for rentals? I mean, this has been the butt of jokes for a while from people out in California as to, like, you can get, like, a bathroom size fucking rental for, like, over $2,000 a month. Housing is expensive, man. Why? Why is it? Why? Why does the state of California want to tax the shit out of its own people, like the new proposed clean water tax that the governor wants to instill, and not be able to provide more affordable housing in their areas for low-income families, such as a single-family household like this? Or why not take into account that the mother may not be receiving child support, assuming that the father is still alive, and not create a better system to force deadbeat dads to pay their child support? Could she qualify for food stamps, subsidized housing, EBT? Since I would consider her as a low income at $29,000 after tax, is what she claims. Just threw some numbers out there. And again, the biggest concern is why the hell is housing so expensive? A one-bedroom apartment, I'm telling you, it has to be like 700 something square feet. Smallest little shithole apartment, $1,600. $250 in a car note. Low budget food. I mean, that's still pretty bad. So, I do not feel that the issue necessarily falls onto the shoulders completely on a bank teller job that is over $16 an hour. And that being enough, since I am sure there is room for raises and expansion in the company, but the state should foster an environment that promotes its citizens to seek higher education and pay for technical schooling like CNA or medical billing, something that are appropriate for the individual to make more money. Now, I don't feel as if being a bank teller is meant to be a career, but more of like a job, a transition of some sort, to build a resume, to build job experience, while you're trying to promote and get a higher education, or while you're out there trying to grind to find a better position that pays more. And yes, I can see why politicians want to grill a multi-trillion-dollar bank and to pay more to their bottom-tier employees, since they are supposedly able to afford it. I just think that my initial response to this video was that it doesn't necessarily rest on the shoulders, like I said, of the business, of the bank in question, JPMorgan here in this instance. But more so is why is it so expensive to live in the state of California? Because that's what I gather. There's places in the Midwest for $1,600 a month. That's paying a mortgage for a sweet-ass house in Texas. So why the hell live in California when it's so damn expensive when you can move to anywhere else? Now, I'm not saying that she has to. That's not the point that I'm getting at. The point that I'm getting at is that people continue to leave California because of how expensive it is that the multimillionaires that all live in that fucking state are dragging down the economy and jacking it up in the cost of living. Or like the middle class, lower middle class, is difficult for them to survive, to live. And I get it. That not every business is the same in the ways that they operate, and that some are more employee-friendly than others. But, you see, you have to understand that in modern America, it is very difficult for families to live on a single-income household. It really is. And being single parent, most of all, that's difficult in and of itself. That's like multiplying it by 100. And then she goes off to say, so the little kids who are 6 years old living in a one-bedroom apartment with their mother aren't going hungry at night because they're $567 from feeding themselves, clothing. We allow no money for school lunches. We allow no money for field trips, no money for medical, no money for prescription drugs, nothing. That's because your state is charging out the ass and taxing everyone to hell and oblivion. I mean, there's so many other programs out there. I'm not saying that it's easy. I am not. Not by any means am I saying that it's easy. And I can understand the struggles, and I understand why this representative is trying to fight. But I think that she needs to take a moment and go starting attack the people that are running her state, instead of blaming the economy or blaming the free market as to why they're not paying more for low-tier jobs. And if that's the case, I'm telling you, the free market, they will adapt. They will find machines that will do the job for them. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the cost of living, it raises each year. And the state of Washington continues to add on tax after tax up here. Now here in my county alone, it costs over $400 a year to register my vehicle so that we can pay some kind of public transportation tax, whatever the hell that is. Don't even see any results from that. It's probably people just pocketing our money. There's a 30% liquor tax, 9.9% sales tax. And people leave California more and more, and the coastal states here are turning more into California when it comes to their policies and laws. Now, I'm not saying right or wrong, that it's right, yes or no on this video, and I understand that this is a committee that's probably aimed at, I don't know what committee that she is part of. I mean, I could probably look it up, but I understand the concern as to why a multi-trillion-dollar bank cannot be able to afford more for its employees while people have to really struggle out there. And it's true, man. Childcare is expensive as all hell. It is expensive. There's families out there paying on average of $1,000 a month for an infant or toddler. Easily. That's crazy. That's just for one. Imagine if it's multiple kids that they have to put in the childcare on a single income family or a single parent household. It's insane. But there are programs out there, and every state is different. I get that. Be able to provide affordable childcare, able to provide subsidized housing, able to provide food stamps, EBT cards, and stuff like that. I just feel that my initial gut feeling on this was that she needs to... It's to me, it's almost comical to hear that coming from a representative from California. As California is going down and going to hell in a handbasket more and more every day, instead of pointing the finger inwards, wanting to blame everyone else for the shitty economy and the wages and the amount of living. And I get it. I mean, like, the motivation behind this is probably more socialistic, more, obviously left and liberal leaning, but that's just my opinion. Do I have the back? Do I support big corporations and stuff? The evil monsters of corporations and shit? No, but they do provide a service of providing jobs to people. That they do. I get that there's greed and that CEOs are doubling, tripling their own multi-million-dollar wages every year and shit like that. While other people on the bottom feeder gets to live off the scraps and shit. I get that. And like I said, not every business is the same. Each one operates differently. From my understanding, Costco is a very employee-friendly business corporation that pays out in stocks to its employees so that everyone owns a piece of the company at some point. But, yeah, I'd like to get your guys' opinion. Do you think I'm full of shit? Do you guys agree with me? Disagree? Should we always attack the big capitalist monsters? Or, should we let the free market kind of work itself? And do you think that it's wrong that a couple trillion dollar bank pays $16.50 at their lowest wage? Do you think that's right? Do you think it's wrong? I'm curious about what you guys think. Leave a comment. Spark conversation, spark arguments, debates. And then that is where we're going to finish today's episode. Episode 16 of the Sweet Lou Special. And for closing comments, I really want to thank everyone for coming out. I know it's been kind of a long weekend of me not putting out content. I'm going to try to do some more content this week besides just the 3 videos Monday through Wednesday. So please be patient. I appreciate the patience you guys have. And also, I want to thank everyone that's been coming onto the Facebook page, liking it, liking the content, sharing the content, put my name out there. Hey, I really, really appreciate it. So a special shout out to you guys out there that are following. Also, another thing is that if you're not following on Facebook, you can find me at the Sweet Lou Special. The information is in the details. Or you can follow me on Instagram at SweetLou777. That's Sweet Lou 777. And also, I should be getting a package sent out today that's going to give a new addition to the show, to give a little bit of visual eye candy here. And that's going to be provided by my great friend that runs Patriot Signs. You can find his information here at the bottom in the description. Website, Facebook page, and all. And he's veteran owned. He makes custom signs for anyone, plaques out of metal, wood, combination of both. Great work. Awesome, man. Really helped me out. Great work. And I get to share it with you once it gets here. I'm excited for it. And also, last but not least, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe here at the bottom. And so that you guys can get the alerts on all of the upcoming and all the new content that I put out. Find out when I go live. And see all of the replays and past videos. All right, thank you, everyone. Happy Monday, and God bless.